I'm doing this. I'm very excited to be here and to be part of this community. I am going to start sharing my screen here, and I'll start my little presentation. Stand by. Okay. Okay, everybody see that?
Yes.
Look, technology works here. Okay.
Yes.
So, in case you don't know me, my name's Kyler, and I am Alice Cooper's personal assistant. I do a lot of documentary, sort of candid style photography with him. I travel all around the world. I've been with him since 2007. So I have a lot of photos of him. And over the course of, traveling, I'm always in antique stores, and photography is a big thing for me. I collect old cameras, and so sitting around in antique stores, you end up coming across, the old viewers, and of course, cameras, stereoscopic cameras. So it kind of it's sort of progressed. Me getting into this stereoscopic photography and 3D stuff in general just kind of progressed from there. So what I'm going to kind of share today is just some of my favorite shots. I was trying to collect a, a, a lot more to share, but I think I have plenty. But I guess I'll talk a little bit about my my camera that I use, and that's kind of it. This is who I am. As you can see, we have a lot of fun out there, and the stereo imagery, I think, really it helps me to tell a story, I think, as a photographer. So I'm super excited to share these with you. So let me just move on to the next slide here. Well, duh, I just said that. So here we go. These are kind of early for me. When I first started out as a stereoscopist, if you will. What's the preferred term for somebody who shoots in stereo? Does anybody know?
Stereoscopist, stereophotographer.
Stereoscopist. I was right. I'm still a noob. So anyway, so I started out with one of these. It is two little Sonys paired together, and they're a little bit kind of offset. So I ran into some issues with formatting and stuff, so I moved on from that. But these are some images that I got from that. One of my favorite images was actually one of my first one. It's this bicycle. So this is in a market in Berlin. I'm not sure if anybody has seen that, but if you're looking at this, I've adjusted the color. The one on the left is kind of what it actually looks like, and the one on the right is kind of adjusted. What I really love about this is when you use your viewer, your previewing, your brain blends the two images together, but it can't tell which color is the correct color. So it just kind of it vacillates between all of them. That one is pretty cool. So these two, I am just kind of playing around with the camera and getting my feet wet, so to speak. I guess I can describe some of these. These are all in random order. I don't really have any kind of rhyme or reason as to why these went in here, because I was really in a hurry when I put all this together. So I'll just kind of describe these. The photo on the left here is in Athens, Greece. Alice was performing with a rock band with Desmond Child. He's a producer that produced a bunch of stuff. So there was a concert for Desmond. This is at the amphitheater that we're performing in here is thousands of years old, and it's a pretty cool thing. This is another venue on the right, the Morris Theater. I can't remember what city it is, but I love the fountain and the sort of depth there. Let's see if I can keep going here. Okay, so on the left here, this is Nita Strauss. She's Alice's lead guitar player in the band, and I love this photo of her. The lighting is great. I'm really a big fan of deep, rich blacks in contrast and stuff. So like really dark backgrounds and a well-lit subject is something I really love. On the right here, we've got Alice's wardrobe case with one of his severed heads. kind of just sitting in there lit. And I kind of, I thought this was a cool image. It's one of my earlier ones, so I just threw it in here. I'm still playing around with the camera. And I guess we'll move on from here. Selfie. One of the things I do when we're traveling behind the scenes is I'll mount my camera, my 3D camera, which is this, by the way. This is what I'm actually using. It's two Sony 6500s tied together. I could talk more about this if anybody actually cares. I'm sure you guys, most of you guys are professionals. You have your own rigs, but this is what I use. Triggers and receivers, pair it all together, and I love it. It's who makes this cage? Small Rig makes my cage. So anyway, I mount this thing to a movable arm, and I carry around my trigger. So if somebody goes into that spot and I don't happen to be there, I'll just fire it off. I'll sometimes mount it in a spot that is inaccessible for me during the show, and I can get interesting angles and things where I wouldn't be able to normally get. Okay, so there's a selfie with my remote. The woman on the bicycle, I think this is in, I'm not sure where it is, but just another cool one. I tried to put some street photography in here. So this is kind of the same moment, two different venues. One is an outdoor venue. This is Alice being executed via guillotine, which is perfect for Halloween. Top one is a festival called Wacken. That's in Germany. And then the bottom one, I'm not sure. This is I'm sorry, the top one is Grasspop in 2022. The bottom one is Hellfest. It's the same moment, totally different lighting, totally different sort of setup. And I was going to talk a little bit about settings for cameras, and I'll get through some of these images, and we'll talk about that. But it's tricky sometimes with two cameras and lighting constantly changing, having to shift them around and get the right image or get the right settings for the moment. But I actually love the daylight stuff for the stereos because everything is much more clear. We have a lot of fog on stage. Okay, moving on here. These two are also from that same Athens performance, and I'll let you guys kind of check these out. They sort of speak for themselves. They're self-explanatory. My cat is pawing at me, really wants to get in my lap right now. You can't come up here. She doesn't know how to view stereo images. Okay, I'm going to move on here. Okay, top image. This is Glenn Sobel, our drummer, and he's been with Alice for a number of years now. Excellent session drummer. Tricky thing with again, this is kind of goes back a little bit to settings, which we'll talk about in a few. But you have to have a very fast shutter speed in order to get capture stops. You know, some of you guys are professional photographers, so I don't have to explain that. But yeah, that's always tricky. Shooting the drummer or guitar player that's moving around. Nita is always very fast. She's they call her Hurricane Nita actually, but she's moving around quite a bit. Whereas the bottom image here, this is Alice putting on his makeup. I do this photo whether in stereo or as a regular still image. I get this photo at every show. That's something that's kind of a tradition for me. You can kind of see on the left panel here, you can see I'm just peeking peeking around the side of the mirror. But yeah, this is my favorite moment for Alice, is him transitioning from civilian Alice into the stage Alice, which is much more menacing and something you don't want to mess around with. We do have a lot of fun backstage, but he really does change into that character. So I'm going to move on from here to the next slide. These are from 2022. We had a different set than we use for the current tour, but it was a big castle. So there's an upper platform. Alice is up on this top platform here on the top image. and the bottom image is another one behind the set where he's adjusting his makeup or changing it in the middle of the show after a wardrobe change, which is part of my job, kind of helping him with his sort of wardrobe stuff, which is pretty fun. Let's see. This is a view from the top image is the view from the top of the castle, atop the castle. I don't remember where this was. Let's see. I sometimes write the information on where these things are, where these photos are from. So it's the end of the show. School's out. Louder Than Life Fest in Louisville, Kentucky, in 2022. And then the bottom image is another version of that same moment where Alice is, changing clothes and putting on makeup or changing his makeup. I love this moment because it's something that no one else really gets to see. So it's kind of my version of Alice, is this blended person that's the guy I joke around with all the time and, play poker with or whatever, and then the stage guy. So I love that kind of in-between moment that is kind of rare for everybody else to see. And I like sharing that. That's one of my favorites. Okay, so the top image, at one of Alice's traditions is he throws knives before a show. So this is him very pleased with himself. The target, I think I have another image of a similar moment. So he's very pleased with where his knife landed. And at the bottom, he's of course, a crazy person about to chop a baby in half. Happy Halloween, everybody. It's not a real baby, of course, and he doesn't actually do any chopping. We stop him in the middle, and then we cut his head off. It's a little macabre. Here we go. So here's his goons about to stop him and bring him off to the guillotine, which we saw earlier. So the bottom image here is actually another one of my favorites. It's Alice, who has just come through a coffin, which is vertical on stage. You can't see it in this picture, but this is from inside the coffin. He goes through a curtain and comes out. And it's kind of a weird, awkward image. I don't like the quality. It's not that great, but I like the perspective of him looking back at the coffin. And I just happened to be there with my little stereo rig, getting this cool little perspective. Let's see. Am I moving too fast through these pictures, or should I move a little quicker? Any thoughts? Any feedback?
Well, for me, it's fine if they're.
Yeah, we're working good for me.
Yeah.
I like it. Again, first time. You're like, speed it up. Let's go. Come on. So more live photos, kind of the same sort of stuff. More Nita down at the bottom there. But here's an interesting thought, another thought here. So we have these bubbles that are floating in the air. And again, so that fast shutter speed is really important in general as a live photographer, but it's especially important as a stereo photographer because you have to match the images exactly. And when you have things that are floating in the air, or people moving, any movement throws it off, and then you don't have. I think in this upper image, one of the baby heads I think is a little bit off, and that's always drove me crazy. But yeah, so I'll move on from this guy. Upper image is the same moment. So bottom image is Cheryl. That's Alice's wife. She has just dropped the blade down. She's picked up his head. She's carrying that thing around. I love this moment. I don't get to shoot this very often because I'm in that moment. And I usually I'm one of the goons doing the execution. But this was from a dress rehearsal, so I just bowed out and so I could get that moment. I don't often get to get it unless the show changes and then my parts change. But I love this one. That's pretty cool. So let's see. Top image is Grass Pop right after the show is ending. He's walking off stage. Love that perspective of the huge crowd. I mean, these are really large. Some of them are 100,000 people crowds. And then Alice just coming up to you. It's the perspective that the 3D stuff gives you. It really helps. Like I said, really helps to tell that story. Bottom image is from Firefight in Sydney, Australia, which was one of our last shows that we did right before COVID. And I started using my my stereo rig in 2020. So I got it perfected at home, brought it on tour. We did Australia, and then COVID happened, and we had to go home. So actually, we went from Australia to Germany, and then we went home after about 2 weeks, and that was it. So I really didn't get a chance to do a lot of live stuff until we came back in 2022. So that's why a lot of the stuff is 2022. So yeah, the bottom image is Alice at Firefight. We had just met with Brian May, who was a big stereo aficionado, who was one of my personal heroes. So that was very cool. We just met with him because they were performing at the same venue. I think the next night, it doesn't matter. Moving on. Same story, more makeup, and Cheryl and Alice at the bottom here. Cheryl is performing a dance. She's the dead bride in this part of the show. Roses on White Lace is the song that they were performing. That's in Grasspop Metal Meeting in Dessel, Belgium. And then upper image, miscellaneous makeup. Aha. Okay, here's another moment of the knives being thrown. This is every night. He throws knives. So I don't know who's on the target. I can't really zoom in there, but whoever was in the news, Queen of England would probably end up on the target. In the news, you're going up. Doesn't matter. So in the bottom image is just him throwing knives, and you can kind of see the knife a little bit blurred. It was a dark room, so you can't really. I couldn't get it frozen in this particular moment, but yeah, I love this image because you can see. And actually, this was Alice's birthday, so it's February 4th, whatever day this was, or wherever that show was happening. The balloons this was his birthday, so probably throwing knives at himself, I think, on the board. So we have Johnny Depp here. This is from the recent Hollywood Vampires tour. We were performing. This is probably one of those big European festivals. I don't remember where. Johnny has broken his leg right at the beginning of this tour. He broke his leg, so they gave him what's called the Depp step. That helps him get up onto the riser and be able to move around. He really muscled through that tour. It was tough for him. And then another shot of Glenn down at the bottom. I love the depth of the drums and the bubbles floating through the air, and all that stuff kind of helps create this real deep dimension. More Johnny here at the top. You know, he's just good to look at. And then we have the Stanley Theater at the bottom here. Okay, so this is pretty cool. I put my rig on a tripod and shot a long exposure of the crowd coming in with cars coming through. So it looks like these lights are sort of floating in the air, and the stereo effect really hammers that home. I love this picture. Move on from there. This is another more recent shot from the last tour. One of these big European festivals. The top image is just kind of cool. I don't personally, I don't sweat when the light is not quite right, because as I was standing in that moment, the light was different for each eye for me anyway. So it kind of is a natural thing. If your one eye is blinded by the sun and the other eye is not, that happens naturally. So I think it kind of works and helps to sell this as a moment that's happening right in front of you. So that the left image on the top there, having that lens flare coming around the hat, it kind of works. And then the bottom image is just another Johnny Depp. And you can see his poor broken foot. Okay, so also from the Hollywood Vampires tour, just Alice on stage performing, band behind him, Joe Perry at the bottom here. Alice is reacting to him exploding his amp, which is pretty fun. That was a gag he did every night. His amp would light up and smoke, and everybody thought he was blowing up his amp. Okay, so you guys might know some of these two at the top here. We love these guys. So that was my visit to Proud Galleries when we were over there. I pit stopped and I got to check out the Queen exhibit over there, and that was awesome. More Johnny Depp at the bottom here. Also, again, another lens flare, which I really dig. I kind of look for those things because it just kind of creates another layer. So I got another lens flare, kind of slightly different position on his guitar. Wait a minute. So we've got a duplicate. So I apologize. I'll fire my editor. So top image is Alice just performing or just about to go on stage. Bottom image is two very handsome guys. So Alice has a cane. I get a lot of action with this cane, a lot of 3D dimensional action because he's always pointing it at me and that sort of thing. I tried to find more photos, but I ran out of time today. So I think this is my last image in my sort of slideshow that I have. This is the guys kind of getting ready to go on stage. This is a moment that happens every day. So I try to get this in stereo or in mono, if you will. I try to get that as often as I can. And I'm going to throw in at the very bottom here, I have some anaglyph images. So this is Tommy Henriksen. He's one of Alice's guitar players. He's also the musical director and one of the producers for the Hollywood Vampires band that Alice has also with Johnny Depp. So we spent a lot of time together, and this is him just chilling out in the tour bus on the way to somewhere. I haven't looked at this with anaglyph glasses in a while. I don't remember if this actually matched up, but I just found it and threw it in. Here's Tommy and Alice, again with that cane. Backstage, you can see on the bottom right there is Alice's target that he's thrown knives at that day. And so they're just hanging out backstage. This is a random, really cool car that I saw somewhere. TR, where's that? I can't remember where it was. Norway, Tromsø? No, I don't know. But very cool. And then Alice and Cheryl walking down the hallway. I thought this was kind of a neat thing. This was at the very beginning of when we were, about to leave Europe as COVID was kind of happening. I don't remember what venue this is, but it's a German venue, and they're coming around the corner. It looks like Cheryl's like really out with the anaglyph. You can really see how the distance between her two images versus where Alice, who's right in focus there, or right in the zone. And I think that's it for my my little slideshows. I wish I had more photos, but I have failed you all. I do have more.